Hi, I'm Jimin. My surname is Van, and sometimes people simply call me Pastor Dan. I wrote this book here called Frequently Asked Questions About Christianity because I was involved in the Alpha course for the last 25 years, and I heard many questions being asked by non-churchgoers, and I compiled them and the short answers to each of these questions, which I'll share over this series of short videos. But before I go on, let me introduce myself. I've been a school teacher for the first 10 years of my working life, and I taught physics and math at the secondary school level. But after I left teaching, I joined the seminary, Singapore Theological School, Trinity Theological Seminary, and I was ordained in 1995 in the Anglican Church of Diocese of Singapore. And I served as an Anglican pastor from 1993 to 2000. But subsequently, I continued the pastoral ministry for a total of about 20 years. After I left the pastoral ministry, I joined the Alpha ministry. And from about 2003 to 2013, I served full-time as a staff with Alpha Singapore. And in those years, we pioneered workplace and prison Alpha, and also regional training workshops. And I was the training consultant. And we went all over ASEAN countries. We went to India and China and Taiwan and even Mongolia. And in the process, I think I must have attended more than 100 Alpha courses. But in recent years, especially because of COVID, I'm forced to go into online ministry, and which is actually a blessing in disguise. So I started online teaching ministry, basically focused on practical theology. Online hybrid Alpha, which combine online Zoom attendance and also in-person offline attendance in the homes. And of course, in the process also, since we cannot attend physical churches, I also started an online house church. And I hope that this online house churches will take off so that we can network through Zoom. So today I want to start with the first question in this book. The question is, who is God? Now this, to the Western viewers, may be like a no-brainer question. But actually, in Asian cultures, this is a very complicated question. Because in Asian culture, there are so many gods. In fact, in Hinduism, there are millions of gods. Among the Chinese, there are countless of gods. And so, but in Buddhism, there is no God. And so we have this kind of confusion when in the Asian culture, when an Asian non-believer asks, who is God? Because that will always be followed by another question, which is the true God? So when we introduce the concept of God, we have to define who or what this God is among the millions that that's found in Asian culture. So the first thing we need to establish when we answer this question, who is God, is that we are talking about the God as revealed in the Bible. And the Bible reveals this God as the creator of the cosmos. Everything that we see with our eyes is created by this God. So we are not referring to some of these small gods and these goddesses. We are talking about the God who made this whole entire universe. So we read, for example, in Genesis, the first page of the Bible, verse 1, says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Alright, so it's a reference to the cosmos, the universe. And furthermore, in Psalms chapter 8, verses 3 and 4, the psalmist said, when I look at your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have set in place, What is man that you are mindful of him, and the Son of Man that you care for him? So here we see in the Bible the writer described God as the one who made the stars, the moon, the planets, the universe. All right, and yet he also made man. So in a sense then, this God that we are talking about, all right, it's not some kind of tribal gods, but it's the God that made everything that we know in the heavens, in the skies, and also on earth. He's the source of all life form, like the unconscious life form, the plant lives, or the conscious life form, like the living creatures of the air and the sea and the land, and including humans. We call that the self-conscious life. Humans is unique because it is self-conscious, is able to reflect on itself, and it has characteristics that are more like God than animals. But the Bible tells us that this God can only be known through his Son, and his name is Jesus. To the Jews, this God's name is Yahweh, or sometimes they say Lord, or they call him Adonai. But to Jesus, this God is Abba, Father. And that's why he says in John 14 verse 6, I am the way and the truth and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through me. So why the way? Well, because he is the only person who can open our spirit to connect with God. And why the truth? Because he opens our mind to understand truth as ultimate reality. And finally, life, because it imparts our heart with God's life so that we can live forever. So, but this God is not just known to the Jews and to the Christians. He is not a God of any tribal group or any ethnic group. He's the God of all people on earth. That's why in Malachi chapter 1 verse 11 it says that my name is honored by people of all nations from morning till night. All around the world they offer sweet incense and pure offerings in honor of my name. So this God of the Bible is not just the God of the Jews or God of the Christians. He's the God of the nation, which means that other nations and cultures also acknowledge this God, even if they were to call it by a different name. And so we have in all ancient cultures different names for God. For the Chinese, he is Shangdi. For the ancient Near East people, he is El Shaddai. And for the Greek philosophers, he is Logos. And of course, for some other Greek lay people, he is simply the unknown God. And for Arab nations, they prefer to call him Allah. So this God is not only just revealed himself in the Bible, so and so that those without the Bible will say, I don't know God. No, we are told in the Bible that this God has already revealed himself to all people in nature. So in Romans chapter 1 verse 20 we read, for his invisible attributes, namely his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world in the things that have been made. So Paul said we are without excuse. So we cannot say we don't know God because we have not read the Bible. No, but God is revealed not just in the Bible, but in the whole creation. And in fact, if we were to study creation, we realize that the cosmos is not equal to chaos. Now that the more we know about the creation, created order, the more we admire the beauty, the order, that is present in every part of creation. So to say that all these things just happen by chance is really boggle the human rationality. So we know that, for example, the cosmos is subject to physical laws. We can actually define how the universe behaves. We have mathematical laws that can explain how the planet move around the sun and so on. That's why we can travel into space, because we know there are laws governing the physical universe. And now, of course, with the advanced knowledge of human biology through DNA, we also begin to recognize that the DNA is a product of an intelligent design. It's like programming coding, all right, that you can select part of it to make different part of the human body. So for those who study all this evidence, it is almost incredible to say that it just falls into place by chance. If we are honest, we have to say that there is this intelligence in the entire universe, which suggests an entire intelligent creator. And for that reason, God created, according to modern physics, not just space, but He also created time, so much so that space and time itself, or the space-time reality, is a created order of reality, which means that the creator, by definition, would have to be outside this space-time universe. We can conceive of this idea to think of the space-time universe as a kind of donut, where everything within it, the stars, the moon, and the sun, obey the law of physics. But anything outside this donut, let's look at this picture here, will be a gap known as by the Bible as eternity. And this is a realm of God where time and space has no meaning. Or maybe I would say where time and space does not exist. So God dwells in eternity. He can enter into our universe anytime and any place instantly. So eternity has no time before or after, and no place here or there. So what does that mean? That means that the God of the Bible is living in an ever-present now. Now, as to Him, the past and the future are as visible to Him as the present. So for that reason, the natural laws of cause and effect do not apply to God. We may say that God dwells outside the box of this universe. So if He's dwelling outside the box of this physical universe controlled by natural laws, He cannot be subject to the same law. So therefore, when people ask, if God created the universe, then who created God? It may sound very clever, but actually it's the wrong question to ask about God, who do not dwell within the box. This is the question that people inside the box ask of one another. But you can't ask of God who dwells outside the box, because the laws of nature does not apply to Him. We know, for example, science asks the question of the what, when, where, and how. But the Bible goes beyond that. The Bible asks questions about who and why. So the science may describe the universe, what happened to the universe, when it happened, where it happened, even how it happened. But they don't know why it was created, or neither can science help us answer the question, whom created the universe. Only the Bible answers these questions. And therefore, when we talk about the God of the Bible, we mean that through the Bible, God revealed to us the answers to the who and the why questions. So in conclusion, I would like to say this. We need answers not just to the what, the when, and the where, and the how, but we need to also have answers to the question of who and why. You know, I came to faith in God simply because I was very interested in astronomy. When I was a teenager, I looked up to the night sky. I studied with my homemade telescope. And I remember one night I was asking, why are we here? The earth is just a tiny dot in this immense universe. But I never go beyond the why and ask who made the universe. In fact, I only came to know there's a who when I gave my life to Christ. Not so much to understand the universe, but to remove this meaninglessness in my life. So to know this Creator God is to know who we are and why He has made us. There's no other way. And not only that, to know this Creator God is also to know the meaning and purpose for our life. As the book of Ecclesiastes says, without God, everything ends in death and life becomes meaningless. So I encourage you to keep asking the right questions about God. Not the what, where, how, when question, but the who and the why. So that will be the end of this first video. And I hope to see you in the subsequent videos. And God bless you.